Hi, my name is Valeria Popov. I reversed my gestational diabetes, got off insulin, lost all my weight, and sustained my weight loss. I got rid of my allergies and my constant constipation, and my skin looks amazing. And I did it by switching to plant-based, exclusively whole food lifestyle. And I want to share it with you. And by doing this interview with legendary chef AJ, which I love and adore. And we're going to be talking about having meal plans or food plans and how it actually might not be helpful to lose weight or to maintain any kind of a healthy lifestyle. Hello, Chef AJ.
Well, hi, thanks for having me.
Would you please introduce yourself and what you do for people who might not be familiar with you?
Sure, my name is Chef AJ, and I've written several books. I have been on a plant-exclusive diet for 43 years, and one of my areas of interest are helping people that suffer from excess weight or food addictions. And I also host a daily show on both YouTube and Facebook at 11 a.m. Pacific time called Chef AJ Live, where I interview many experts in the plant-based world, chefs, and just interesting people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Would you please share your experience with, have you ever had a food plan or a meal plan where you follow day by day?
I have not. And the first thing I want to say is if you like them and they work for you, please keep doing them. I always tell people do the least restrictive plan that you can do that will get you the results you want. Now, that said, I actually do subscribe to the Forks Over Knives meal plan, but I'm doing it just for the recipes. I'm not following it, in other words, where they tell you what to eat, how much to eat, when to eat. That would drive me crazy. I am a busy person, and I feel that if people could learn to eat food instead of recipes, they would do better in the long term. You know, many people come to the plant-based diet and they don't know what to eat. Well, it's basically the same thing you ate on an animal-based diet, but without the animals. So if you think about it, when I was little growing up, my mom would serve a meal and it would have a dead animal on the plate, maybe chicken or fish. It would have a starch, maybe rice or potatoes. It would have a vegetable. Well, you do the same thing, but you take out the animals. You're still eating primarily what you're eating before, and you don't need to replace the animals in any way. So you can still eat much of the same food you were eating before, assuming you were eating whole foods, not just a bunch of junk food. But the thing is, with these meal plans, you have to have the ingredients, number one, and that's fine. If you like it, do it, but it would drive me crazy, just the shopping, because I think if you can learn to make meals out of food instead of recipes, you're going to have a greater long-term success. It's going to be easier. You're going to save money. So for example, I teach people like what I call the one bowl method. Some people call it a Buddha bowl, where you have ingredients. You've prepped them, you've cooked them. Maybe you've cooked a big batch of beans in your Instant Pot or a big pot of rice in your Instant Pot. You'll have some in your refrigerator. You'll have some frozen for future meals. Any kind of vegetables that you want, all kinds of delicious sauces. And what you do is you can customize every day a different bowl by using different starches, different vegetables, maybe even fruits, different greens, different sauces. There's thousands of combinations. You'll never get bored, but I don't feel like you have to have a recipe for 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks out of the month, that kind of thing, unless you like it and it works for you. Everybody says they want meal plans, but I really think what they want is maybe to learn how to make this food delicious, which you can do without meal plans. You have to just learn to eat more plants and trust that with time, you're going to enjoy it. If you have weight issues, you're going to decrease them. The problem I have with meal plans is they tell you what the serving size is. How do you know how hungry you are? You might be at a different height or weight than somebody else. How can they say that this serves this many people? It's different if it says how many cups it makes. Now that's useful. Like if it says makes 10 cups or makes whatever, but how can you tell me what a serving size is when you don't know how much I weigh, how hungry I am, how much I ate? And so for me, a meal plan for some people buys into that same mentality of restriction and dieting and weighing and measure, which I not only don't recommend, especially if you're trying to lose weight or overcome food addictions, but it's just not necessary in a plant-based diet. When you eat in accordance with the principles of caloric density, where the majority of your calories are coming from whole plants, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and maybe even a little bit of nuts and seeds, you don't have to worry about how much you eat or when you eat or why you eat. And so for me, sometimes the meal plans they make it harder for people instead of easier. And I understand that different people vary in how much variety they need. And what I want to say about that is this. If you're somebody struggling with food addiction or weight issues, there's a concept known as sensory specific satiety. And basically this is from Dr. Barbara Rolls, who wrote Volumetrics. And she told a story about this when she was in Italy. And she was at a dinner where there was like 12 or 13 courses and it was all pasta. And every course was different. And then all of a sudden they were already stuffed, but when they got to dessert, it was something different than pasta. And everybody ate it, even though they were full. The more choices you allow yourself per meal, the more you're going to exponentially overeat. Now, that's fine if you don't have weight issues or don't care if you do, but if you are trying to not be overweight, the fewer choices you give me, that doesn't mean just eat broccoli and rice every day, by the way, but it means the more you have a smorgasbord at every meal, the more you're going to overeat. That's why when people go to these buffet type restaurants, which are now, unfortunately, many of them are closing for good because of COVID, they eat way more than they would, say, at a restaurant where they ordered an entree a la carte, or even more at home when there are fewer choices. That doesn't mean that you have to limit variety. If you think about it, in the plant kingdom, the category of legumes, which are beans, split peas, and lentils, there's over 18,000 different kinds. So you could probably live the rest of your life and have a different one every day. You can have variety in the plant kingdom. There's at least 400 varieties of sweet potatoes. So if you vary the grain, the bean, the sauce, and again, I think more important than having meal plans, in my opinion, for people, especially starting out, is to have delicious sauces. Because if you have a delicious sauce that you love, everything tastes delicious, whether it's your salad or your steamed vegetables or your starches. So that to me is more important almost than meal plans. But again, I don't want to bash them. They don't work for me, but if they work for you, do them. And sometimes it's fun to subscribe to them, like I said, just to get a few recipes. But if you think about how you ate before you started eating plant-based, were you relying on meal plans? Were you relying on recipes? Were you relying on great variety? You know, if you talk to most people, whether they eat plant-based or not, most people don't eat 30 different breakfasts every single month and 30 different lunches every single month and 30 different dinners. Most people, most families have a few favorites. And they say it's something like 5 to 7 entrees that they repeat over and over. And many people, regardless of their diet, eat the same breakfast every day and they have their whole life. For a lot of people, it's oatmeal and fruit and similar lunches. So I think you need to think about why you feel you need these meal plans. And if you need variety, have all the variety you want within the plant kingdom. But again, I really want to be clear. Do the least restrictive program you can do that will get you the results you need. And if meal plans work for you, do them. But for me, they're more limiting and restricting than just opening up my refrigerator, because I've done a great job shopping. I've done a great job batch cooking. So I can create an endless assortment of meals just from the variety of cooked grains, starches that are in my refrigerator and freezer, and with the produce that I have, fruits and vegetables, and with the variety of flavors of different balsamic vinegars and sauces that I make. And to me, that is just a lot easier than relying on a meal plan or a recipe. And you know, when you really understand calorie density, you understand that if you're not eating highly processed foods like sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and if you're not eating animal products, which also have a high caloric density, this really is, as Dr. Steve Lewenda says, a magical all-you-can-eat buffet.
Thank you, Chef AJ. This is absolutely amazing. I love the explanation. You know, when I was thinking, when people refer to ask for food plans or anything like that, what came to my mind is the person is in transition, and they want this step, but almost like their mind keeping them into this, not doing this step forward and going plant-based. And I think for a lot of people, just to drop it's a fear. Maybe there is something in there that they cannot step forward and make a transition, and they're holding on this idea of finding a perfect food plan for them. What would you say to encourage people to actually drop this fear? Don't worry about that, just go into it.
I think that, first of all, if they have a fear, they probably aren't going to be able to drop it. But what they might be able to do is do what Dr. Lyle says and run an experiment for I think a month is the best. But if a month is too long, 3 weeks. If 3 weeks is too long, 2 weeks, but to do an experiment for 2 weeks where they're just not going to worry about it and just do what we tell them, eat as much whole plant food, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes without sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. And if they do eat nuts, seeds, and avocado, limit the amount to about an ounce a day if it's nuts and seeds, and about a fifth if it's an avocado, and just see how that feels and see how they feel doing that. I think a lot of times the people that are wanting meal plans are people that come from a weighing and measuring history, a Weight Watchers history, where they're actually being told, eat a half a cup of rice, eat a cup of blueberries. And that's what's hard for them, is they can't believe or imagine a life without restriction. And the people that don't have this history of restriction, I don't think they have the same problem with being told that they don't need a meal plan. They just need to eat food when hungry, stop when full, not have junk food in their environment, and then they really can eat all that they want. I used to weigh almost 200 pounds, and now I eat more food as a slender person than I ever weighed as an overweight or obese person, because I'm eating the right food. And I really don't worry about anything, and I don't even think about food until I'm hungry, which is actually right now.
Yeah, me too, actually. I haven't had food yet. I'm like, oh my goodness, and that's going to be awesome. Chef AJ, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your knowledge. And I want to encourage our listeners to actually make this first step and trust yourself. Don't be scared. It's all going to be fine. We are fine.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.